Welcome to www.killthatnoise.com. I'm your boy, D. Cameron McMahon. Got my man Joe Son with me. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by Southern Oregon University superstar, former Oregon Duck, Oshay Dunmore. Oshay is glad to have you, man.
Hey, pleasure being on here, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Listen, I know coming out of high school, you were a parade All-American, first team All-State D-back and second team All-State quarterback. You were recruited, notable names on there. The great Nick Saban, we know he great. Alabama's Crimson Tide, 2012 coming off a national championship. Steve Sarkisian, University of Washington. Chris Peterson at Boise State, and Chip Kelly with the number 4 Oregon Ducks. So my question would be, what is it about Chip Kelly and his team that ultimately led you to sign and commit with the Ducks?
Well, I think it was about 7th grade. I went to one of my first football games down there. It was back when, they had the steel diamond plate jerseys, Jonathan Stewart, Dennis Dixon days. And I remember they're playing USC. And Pete Carroll was there. John David Booty was the quarterback. And it was like halftime. We went out there, and I had like a duck hat. And I got the hat signed by Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't know how I got it signed. It was an Oregon hat. But I got the hat signed by Pete Carroll. And after that, my buddies were just amazed the fact that I even went and got the autograph or talked to Pete Carroll or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? This would be fun right here. I'm going to get here someday. And then just from there on, I just kind of had my sights set. I always wanted to be a Duck, and I started developing as a track athlete, and that started to become more of a reality going into, post high school career. So it was kind of a no-brainer at the time. Still Oregon's a powerhouse for track. It's Tracktown USA.
Yeah.
World-renowned coaches. There's guys like Ashton Eaton was a buddy of mine. He mentored me through, my recruiting process and even into my first year. Jordan Kent, those type of guys was a dual sport athlete himself. And it was just more than appealing to me. I thought it was a great opportunity to go and have, 2 opportunities to play 2 different sports. And I enjoyed being a multi-sport athlete in high school, and I saw it as a challenge and a unique opportunity to be able to do that at the collegiate level. So there was no other program in the country at that time that was succeeding as much as Oregon football and having a nationally qualified track team as well. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Right. So let me ask you, out of all those schools, did anybody offer you to play football and run track, or was it just only Oregon?
UW was going to allow me to do the same. I think just about anywhere was going to, as long as I was taking the football scholarship, I was going to be allowed to run track. For the most part, I don't think, at least in the Pac-12, there hadn't been a problem with that. However, being a decathlete was a little bit different. So I kind of kept that. I kept that underneath, what exactly I wanted to do in track. Kept that under the wraps for a minute. But if I would have went the other way around and took a track scholarship, there's guaranteed I wouldn't be able to play football. So I just kind of I obviously took the football scholarship with Oregon, with kind of seeing I forget who was running at the time. There's another football player that was running at the time, and I just saw that it was at least it was capable of doing. I thought it was D'Anthony had ran his freshman year, and he was just doing sprints. But I just figured I could make it work. If not, it was going to be just a unique lifestyle, at least for my freshman year. But I was redshirting anyway in football, so I was going to redshirt anyway. So I was like, yeah, might as well just give it a shot.
That's awesome, man.
Right. So go ahead, Ken.
I want to ask you about this. So, trying to commit it to Oregon, what was it? The thoughts of the USC? You said you went and got it signed by Pete Carroll and everybody else. Come on. How hard was that to do?
It was pretty tough. It was honestly more of me being it was kind of me being a little antagonist, because I kind of knew that it was a big rivalry, and I was more trying to get more see what the reaction was going to be. And he kind of humbly didn't take, you know what I mean? He didn't take the bait or anything. So I was in my head, I was just thinking, all right, we going to beat again at one point.
Right. So you joined them in 2012. That's the same year that Chip Kelly, he left. He got up out of there. How did that affect you and the team going forward?
Well, Chip was a very offensive-minded coach, so it didn't really affect anybody on the defensive side of the ball that much. We had Coach Pelham. I was in John Neal's room, the DB room there, and you had Nick Aliotti, who had been there on staff for 30-plus years or whatever it was. So the defense, we didn't budge, and we kind of understood where the program was at the time, and where Marcus was at, and DeAnthony, and kind of. We had a team, and the new building just kind of came up in recruits. So we kind of had the feeling that they weren't going to hire anybody outside of the program, at least for that first year. So there was a little bit of comfort knowing that Helfrich, or we thought maybe Coach Frost, or even Coach Pelham, Campbell, whoever it might have been, was going to move up, and it wasn't going to be too much of a dramatic culture change. So at that point, I was just coming out of my redshirt freshman year. So to me, it was like, okay, whoever's there, it's fresh start. I get to be I get my first year for true eligibility, so I get to show whatever I got. So I was excited for it regardless.
So that's the same year, right? Kelly leaves, and you, like you said, it was going to be a lot of familiarity still there on the defensive side of it, right? So later, things happen the next year. 2013 comes around. I think you played 10 games that season. Yeah. And then the situation comes where you end up getting dismissed from the team. Would you care to address those type of things? Because I think it was later alleged that it was DUI and gun charges and things like that. Would you like to address that for the fans and the people who don't know what kind of happened?
Yeah, with my dismissal, the NCAA has a lot of strict rules and regulations in which there's some ignorance we have where we just totally don't know some of the rules, and then there's some we do know the rules and we can kind of tamper within them to get by. And at the time, I come from a family that we're not necessarily really comfortable financially, and when you get some of the things that Oregon gives you in abundance, it's easy to turn those into commodities. And I saw it as, opportunity at the time, not really thinking or considering the consequences of what would happen with my actions. And, did what an immature, privileged football player would do at that time. Right. And I took advantage of whatever opportunity I had. And at that point it was monetary, and I exchanged, whatever type of gear we had for some money, which was a NCAA violation. And, seeing that we were already under probation with the CHIPS recruiting violations and whatnot, it was a bad look on the school and the program, as well as myself and my family. So Helfrich gave me an opportunity to, redeem myself and get out there, finish the school year up, and we'll see where, it stood. And once I finished the term well on good academic standing and whatnot. But, with being under probation, this next incident would put the program in pretty hot water, right, as well as myself. So he just gave me the opportunity. He said, you can transfer openly. Well, not necessarily openly. Nowhere in the Pac-12 I couldn't transfer. And he said I could, transfer, and it was going to be dismissal for, team detrimental or whatever. So, right. Yeah, it was something, it was a mistake I definitely learned from, and a humbling time for sure in my life, but something I definitely don't let define me. And I've allowed it to, help me grow, and I pass down the lessons to younger players coming in and guys who, might be going down, a similar path that I was headed. So I just use it as a tool now to, help coach younger guys, and also help just re-solidify, my ethics and character moving forward.
Right. Now, what lessons did you learn from this? What can you take away from the situation? How has it helped you? You said you were immature. How has it helped your personal growth and your success going forward?
Well, I think the first thing was the humility. Everybody needs a little piece of humble pie sometimes, and I got the whole pie, all to myself. And it was just a time where, it was my dream to be at Oregon and to be a college football player, be a Duck. I wanted to. It was my home state, in front of my family, my friends, and the rest of the state who would come and watch me play and perform in, track and field. I won multiple state championships there at Hayward Field, and it was just kind of, I had a lot of pride in the school, and I had a lot of pride in myself at the time. And I was losing sight of the fact of how much of a privilege it is to be on that stage, and how much of a privilege it is to be on a full ride education and be, getting everything paid for and being on a full ride scholarship and whatnot. And I think it was just, a way of God just telling me, to refocus. I have the ability, I have the skills, and I have, the natural leader qualities, but I just got to make sure I'm using those all in the right way. And just looking back on it in hindsight 2020, I'm glad that it happened at the time it did. I wouldn't change anything. Where I am now, I think it's put me in the best position to be the most successful man moving forward, regardless if I don't play football ever again. It's a invaluable lesson that, I'm glad I learned.
Yeah,
All right. So let me ask you this. I'm a coach. I'm a GM. I'm an owner. What kind of person would you say a team willing to take a chance on Oshay? What kind of person would they get? Like, who is Oshay Dunmore?
You're going to get one of the most passionate, competitive, just players. Just enthusiasm is my thing. I just believe in buying into a program, buying into a culture. I'm a real, I just believe in buying into a program, just because everywhere I've been, I've had been very fortunate playing on very successful teams everywhere I've went. And I think 100% of that goes to the enthusiasm and the passion and leadership that came within that team. And I've really took a lot of pride in those leadership roles, and being at Oregon and seeing a blueprint for success, because that's what they had there, is a blueprint for success. The way they practice, the way they carry themselves on and off the field, social media, they had it down. They knew what it was, and it was a blessing to be a part of that and learn that so I could carry it on. And that's what we did when I got to Illinois. It was, we hit the ground running. We took down all barriers. We, all of us really molded and gelled really quick. We got good chemistry, and we became a family. We really bought in. And the biggest thing was, I call it horizontal leadership. It's more than just like dictating and telling people what to do. It's demonstrating how to do it daily, day in and day out, and hoping that once you consistently do this and people see your success from the consistency, that they'll want to follow you and want to do the same thing. So that's just one thing I did, is every program I went to, I came in and I played like it was my senior year. I made sure, I'm early, I'm staying late, I'm watching my film, and I'm holding people accountable, and I'm telling people to hold me accountable, to continuously push me and keep pushing the standard of not only, each other, but just the program standard, the coaching standards, everything. It was just a continuous effort to just improve whatever I could do to help affect the program to improve it. But I would say to any GM, I'm just a very passionate player, and I think my competitive level is, you can't really compare it. I'm just got a lot of persistency, and I got a lot of drive in me, and I like to work, so I enjoy the process.
Right. So, like he said, if I'm an owner, how can you help my football team? What are you gonna do to my community to help out?
I see myself as a great leader. Studying and upon my last term of getting my degree in political science and communications, I've had a very diverse lifestyle, growing up from real humble beginnings, and I've been able to, I've had a peak early in my life where, I was living my dream as a college football player, and I've just had a lot of good, experiences, and I feel like I got a lot of intangible gifts that I can pass on to a lot of players in the program, as well as any type of coach I might be around. And I have no pride with it. I have no pride. I have on the field, I'm a coachable player, and I'm willing and ready to buy in to wherever I'm at. So I think that paired up with my athleticism is a winning package all the way around.
That's awesome, man. So tell us this: what kind of things have you done to prepare yourself for the NFL Combine and the draft? Like who are you working with, and what are some personal goals that you set to guarantee that the best version of yourself shows up when that call comes?
Absolutely. So I'm training with JB Barnes out of Pro Baller Fitness out in Hillsboro right now. And man, we hit the ground running. We first week up here, we hit it running. We got in there, we were pushing sleds, pulling sleds, getting under the bar, and really working. It feels really like I'm back training for the decathlon again. You know what I'm saying? Full body workouts, different sprints and different sled pushes with different intervals and short recovery time. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of lactic acid, man. And I'm just blessed to be in this position and to have, a good team working around me. But the goal is to just continuously, work on the speed, work on my ball skills, and just overall game. I think obviously the speed thing it's huge for the next level, and it's the thing that separates, the CFL from arena and so on and so forth. So obviously just keep on working on my foot speed. I played every position on defense, so I feel comfortable playing defense. I feel comfortable competing at any position on the football field, to be honest. If it's offense, defense, or any of the special teams, I actually take pride in the special teams. I want to dominate every special team that I could play on. I don't want to come off the field. So it doesn't matter if I'm kicking long snap and place holding. I don't running down on kickoffs, punch shield. I'm a football player. So I'm just trying to do whatever, JB feels that is, going to best prepare me. And, being 6'3", long and lengthy, and hoping to run, 4.4, sub 4.4 in there. I think it'll be able to turn some heads. So that's where we're at.
So I personally did evaluations on you, and I watched the film. We watched a lot of film on you and things like that, and I felt like you reminded me, your play style was more of a Malcolm Jenkins type guy myself, a guy who you just said you played different positions on the defense, and that's a Malcolm Jenkins type guy who coaches can move around, in the safety, corner, play some nickel backer, a little linebacker in some packages like that.
Absolutely.
So I could see that personally fitting right in.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm just a competitor, and coming from starting at Oregon, they put me out at boundary corner when I was first there, and I was lining up against Josh Huff, chasing him. You know what I mean? And then so we moved me back I didn't backpedal out of high school. You know what I'm saying? I never backpedaled. I played 6 yards over the ball, and my coach told me don't let them score. So that was my job. Is I was just bigger, faster, stronger than everybody, and then on offense, I was a running quarterback. We'd line it up, spread it out, and it's quarterback sweep left, quarterback sweep right. I'll throw you the ball when you're wide open, but I like the ball in my hands higher better probability. No. But no, it was a learning experience. So that's one of the things that I really appreciated is coming from a small 4A school. I didn't really know a whole lot of football. I just knew how to compete, and coming in and being with John Neal, I learned so much. Football became, even a better student of the game that year. And just every year, just continuously, the game has slowed down, and I've understood more, and playing the different positions has only helped me understand, where the strengths and weaknesses are in the defense, where my help is. And I think the communication part is huge. I'm always the loudest person on the field, and it's not just, hooping and hollering. It's sharing information. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest part is when you got volume, it means you got confidence. So volume equals confidence. And so you go out there and you know what you're saying, and you're communicating, you're sharing information. It's making the game easier for all of us. So being able to play multiple positions, that's only going to help, I feel like, wherever I'm at.
Right. Now, you said you're versatile. You could play multiple positions. In Oregon, you were a linebacker. When you transferred out, you also switched positions to safety. What position do you feel most comfortable at? What are you going to go into the NFL draft as? Linebacker, safety?
Yes.
Which one?
No, I'm going to get it. Don't matter, man. I think it's going to be I think ideally I'd want to play like a corner position, press corner, get out there on an island and use my long levers and see what they can do. I think with the NFL increasingly using, big receivers out on the perimeter, they're trying to, take advantage of, the small, fast, dynamic guys that they usually put at corner. So I think I fit the prototypical build of the new corners that are needed in the NFL. And I take pride in that edge. So I don't think that any receiver in the NFL could block me, and having the outside linebacker and even playing some rush in, you know what I'm saying? That's not an option for me. So I feel like bringing that physicality to the corner position, I think it's going to be, I think it's valuable to any football team. And like I said, I don't have any pride in any single position. I just want to play football. So I'll do what it takes, whatever it takes to benefit the team, or whatever it takes to get me on that field.
Right.
So, like I just said, we compared you here at Kid and a Malcolm Jenkins type guy, versatile all over the field. So who would you say you patterned your game after? Who would you say you were most like if you had to compare?
You know, it really comes down to just kind of how different people move. I really like seeing just how different guys move. So I like to take Darrell Rivas. I like his patience, you know, how square and how low he can play, and but, you know, running 4-3, you can be a little bit more patient. So then I like watching guys, you know, Richard Sherman, who wasn't necessarily a really high speed guy, but he was a lengthy receiver, smart guy, and corner was a good transition for him, being long and lengthy and understanding, you know, the game. So I watch a lot of Richard Sherman, and then most recently Jalen Ramsey, because you know, he's long and lengthy and he's a competitor. I like how he plays, and it reminds me a lot of myself, because it's just that you got to have that dog in you when you play defense, and I think it's something that I got in me for sure, that competitive nature as well as the size. So those guys I really watch a lot, and I work a lot with you know, Ifo Ekbre Olamu. He was an old corner out of Oregon, and you know, he works with me a lot on like the off field, kind of just the mental part of the game, because he was in there with me and when Coach Neal was working with us. So just kind of reliving some of those times, some of those meetings, and sharing his information and whatnot. You know, and another guy I like to watch, Jordan Poyer. You know, I played against him in high school. He was a guy right up the coast for me. So coming from a small school and just seeing how he just once again competes. I've seen him play corner. He's come down and play in the nickel position, and so I like seeing those guys that are kind of really. And I mean, another guy, Tyrann Mathieu, who's around the ball. I like seeing how, you know, you're in a linebacker position, but you're playing, you know what I'm saying, DB. Right. So seeing how those guys really move and manipulate. So that's kind of my thing. I like watching the guys who make the plays. So seeing what they do, how they train in the off season, and whatever their thing might be. It's I don't know if I necessarily model myself after certain players. I just like watching the guys who are always around the ball making the plays.
Now, when you're growing up, was football your first love?
Honestly, I was just a multi-sport athlete. I didn't start playing football until probably 7th grade. I think I think it was 7th grade was my first year playing football. Moving from Chicago with my dad and moving here with my mom, I didn't really even start playing sports until 7th grade or competing at all. I think 8th grade is when I finally started doing track, and we do like our little city meets or whatever, and I would sign up for 8 events because I didn't want to sit around and wait for just 3 or 4. So then my coach was like, you know, it's kind of interesting. You can pole vault, you can hurdle and throw the disc. Like, maybe we should check something out.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care. I'm just not running any further than that.
Yeah.
Told me about that 1500. That was almost a deal breaker right there. So no, but that was I think track was probably one of my first things I kind of picked up naturally. But basketball, I think I love the most. I thought it's just a game of just momentum swing. It's a game where you can, you know, really get up in somebody real quick. It's not as physical as football, but obviously, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of one-on-one kind of, and you know what I mean? It's the crowd's right there, a lot of energy. So I love playing basketball. We had a really good basketball team coming out. My little brother hooped with me, so we put on a show out there. That was a lot of fun. But I just like to compete, man. That was my biggest thing. Is just any type of competition, being around. I love the work. I love the grind. I love the community of sport just in general. So I just like surrounding myself with those type of people who are constantly like pushing themselves and just setting goals, and it ended up, you know, being useful.
Yeah, that's the defensive mindset in you, man. So let me ask you, hypothetically, let's say the invite to the 2018 NFL Combine does not come. Then what? Like, is that discouraging to you? What's next? Then what would be
absolutely not. I mean, I understand. There's 330 players who get into the Combine, but there's 780 players that get drafted. And even after that, you got 32 teams with 3 sides of the football and, you know, 4 special teams and defense. That's a lot of coaches. That's a lot of positions to play. And, you know, if I got in me what I think I got in me and what I know I've been working for, and I know what I got in me, then I know I'm gonna find a way into one of those spots. Because if I get the opportunity, I ain't gonna let nobody stand across from me and take it from me. So it's good. I know that I'm just gonna keep my faith. I'm gonna keep working hard, and I just know that at some point, you know, there's gonna be an opportunity, and I'm just gonna capitalize on that opportunity when it comes. So I'm not gonna get discouraged. I understand that that's kind of the thing that takes most of people off their dream, is just being discouraged by little things. But I've been one to, you know, overcome the things that don't necessarily always seem possible. So I'm gonna continue to ride that wave there, and not in ignorance and careless or recklessness, but with confidence through preparation and faith through God.
Definitely, man.
That's amazing.
Now, we know you got a lot of supporters. We here, especially us at Kill That Noise, we wish you the best. We wish you the best in the process. Is there anybody that you want to thank personally or give a shout out
to? Absolutely. You know, my mom, Misty Dunmore, of course, she's been through the wire. You know, my grandma, Oma, you know, those are two people who've always been, you know, there in my life. Gene Foreman's my grandpa. He was a Hall of Famer at Linfield. And, you know, those are people who have always been, you know, kind of my rocks in my life, and kind of kept me grounded and sacrificed who knows what to get me to where I'm at today. So that, and obviously always got to give thanks to the Lord. You know, there's too many things that have, you know, that have happened, and too many things that haven't happened and worked out perfectly to where, you know, I've ended up in one of the most fortunate situations I could ask for. So I'm gonna just continue to, you know, praise the Lord on that, continue to just be a professional on and off the field, and kill it when this chance comes. I'm gonna make sure I take full advantage of my opportunity. So
that's good, man. So I just want to thank you for joining us on today, man. Everything about you, like I said, we get to kill some of that noise. There's a lot of people that talking that don't know your story, and we want to give you that opportunity. We wanted to be the first to be able to help you put that out there, give you that platform here at Kill That Noise, you know. So we want to thank you for joining us on tonight.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm the Cameron McMath. I got my man Joe Son with me.
Yes, sir.
We were joined today by Oshay Dunmore, 2018 NFL draftee. Holla at www.killdhatnoise.com.